Welcome to the Cavalier Corner, a show in which we'll be discussing all kinds of fun topics related to student life. My name is Juliana,
And I'm Camille.
and today we'll be doing
And
another one
Japan.
of our conspiracy theories, and we'll be talking about cryptozoological creatures, which are basically myths and legends in a way.
Hey, but there's still a conspiracy.
Yeah.
That's my belief.
Yeah, so I actually have a fun one that I've always known about. So it's the Chupacabra. And it started in the 90s in Puerto Rico. That's where like the first sighting was. And okay, so it's kind of weird because the descriptions of what it looks like have like sort of changed. At first, or like the first sighting, it was kind of sort of like an alien type of creature. And what basically this animal or creature, I don't know what to call it, but it kind of looked like a lizard, but it had like fangs and it was just kind of and claws. It was a very weird description that the first witness gave out, but kind of alien-ish looking, like a sci-fi alien type of creature. And so it's basically its name. It means goat sucker. So it like drains the blood out of like chickens and goats and those kind of barnyard animals. And like that was one of the first, like the earliest descriptions, and people like after that encounter people have been seeing more of them throughout the 90s in Puerto Rico because their livestock was dying. And so
Oh, and they didn't know who to blame, huh?
right, like farmers would go outside if they heard like loud noises at night, and then they would see like this creature and perch over like one of their goats or chickens, draining like the blood out of them. That was like the eyewitness reports. That's what they said. So I thought it was kind of interesting because I don't know how much of that is. I don't know. I thought it was an interesting like description to say the least. And then the tales of it kind of moved to southern part of the U.S. and specifically Texas. There were a lot of sightings in Texas after the first ones, but then those sightings described it as kind of like a big fox kind of creature, or not like a fox, like a wild dog. And yeah, so it kind of went from alien to
I've
wild
seen
dog.
yeah, because I've seen, funny enough, the alien picture is scary.
Yes.
It looks like, to me, it just looks like a sick dog. Like it just looked like a dog with a, not a, would it be a skin infection?
I think like a
Well, do they have skin?
disease, yeah.
Yeah. Like a hair infection. That's what I saw people. I saw like more like an infection of an animal, or I can't describe it. It doesn't look this one doesn't look as scary. Like the newer version of it doesn't look as scary as the first version where it looks more alien
So in the
looking.
first version, I think what happened sort of was, so there was near the town that the first sighting happened in Puerto Rico, there was a military base or like a compound from like an American one. So the people there, the locals, were kind of wondering what they were doing there. And yeah, they kind of just hypothesized that they were taking like native animals and doing sort of like experiments on them, right? And so of course, if you think about like a military base doing experiments on local wildlife, then they're gonna look all alien like. Right?
Oh Lord.
And then the story moved and gained popularity in the rest of like Latin America, and then went to the US, like Texas type of area. And then of course it wasn't gonna be that, right? So then it went to, it kind of looks like a wild dog with like fangs and bigger claws, right? So I guess it just kind of expanded and it evolved after, like, depending on the area that it was in. So I don't know what it actually looks like or what it is, if it is anything, it's just, I mean, there must be an explanation why the farm animal life was dying, right? I don't know who did that. Maybe it was just like a pack of wolves, or right,
right,
or a wild dog, right? But I don't know about alien type of creatures. I don't know how to feel. But nonetheless,
well, okay, so the next one, it was what?
It was an interesting one to just research and read about.
Yes. And which brings me to my next one, which was the lizard man. Okay, so this one is funny because apparently the lizard man was described as having green, scaly skin with either red or 7 feet tall and has a stride for about around 40 inches. Again, my question is, if he exists or these creatures exist, where do they hide? I need some real intensive research on people coming to me and explaining all this situations here. All right, so the lizard man of scrape or swamp is said to inhabit the areas of swampland in and around Liku. So many theories have presented its relation to the identity of lizard man, theories such as living dinosaurs, and even offshoots of evolution in which the reptile hierarchy continued to evolve along the same path as the early primates. There's one thing we can't say, that dinosaurs don't exist. My mother would attest to that, to say, excuse me, they existed. Because at one point, reptiles ruled the earth. It is not out of the realm of possibility that the most dominant species on the planet could continue to evolve in smaller numbers unseen by mankind. There's a lot of things we don't see in this world. Although no reptile species known to man have shown signs of such advanced evolution, the reptile is the oldest and most successful species on earth and could hold secrets that have yet to come to light. In Lee County, South Carolina, a strange reptilian humanoid was reported on several accounts. The first reported sighting of the creature was made by George Holloman Jr. in the fall of 1987, but it was reported by Christopher Davis, a 17-year-old local man, that made the lizard man famous. Davis said he encountered from work at 2 a.m. Okay, there's so many things that I want to say about that. At 2 a.m., I tried driving at 2 a.m. I want to sleep. There's so many things you can see. And okay. And I was like, no, maybe you were.
Another one we're going to talk about in a little bit, but kind of that to me is like, okay, you're kind of sleep deprived. You're driving, but you have to be awake because you're driving and you don't want to crash, right? So, but still, your mind is not 100% there. Like, you can definitely see things out of the corners of your eyes and things. It's like, it's not, right?
It's true, because sometimes, like if you drive, like when you drive, some, not even late nights, but so many things that you can see. But according to Davis, he stopped on the road bordering scrape or swamp in order to change a tire, which had been blown out. When he was finishing up, he reported having heard a thumping noise from behind him and having turned around to see the creature running towards him. Davis said the creature tried to grab at the car and then jump on its roof as he tried to escape, clinging on to as Davis swerved from side to side in efforts to throw him off. This is a whole lot. Okay, I guess
a lot of action there.
This is the most interaction on all the research of all the creatures we did. This one was pretty much interesting because normally people would see they were running past, or they were running from the animal. Now this animal, well, now the lizard man is running towards him. He said after he returned home, Davy's side view mirror was found to be badly damaged and scratch marks were found on the cars of the roof, though there was no physical evidence of his encounter.
That's kind of interesting.
There's so many things I want to know about this. This just sound like he felt, okay, listen to me, people. This sound like, when you fell asleep, but no, I'm not even going to call you a liar. I apologize for my statement I'm going to make. But you know how your child, because he's 17 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just imagine you're driving home, it's 2 a.m. By the way, why are you driving home at 2 a.m.?
However,
However, you kind of fell asleep a little. And you know when you swerve off the road
Oh yeah.
and you hit something, you're like, what am I going to tell my parents now? So many, I'm sure that when you listen to this, that what comes up to your mind. I'm just checking. Let me know, people, if this came to mind when you heard of this story. When I was reading this, I was like, that's the first thing that came to me. A teenager who just needs to explain, Mom, what happened. Maybe he was even at a party and one of his friends, was probably drunk or something, and someone hit the windshield. Is it not windshield, but the, what is it called again? The side view mirror.
Okay, yeah.
Probably someone just hit it, and he goes like, "What am I gonna tell my parents now?" And you come up with a good story.
You came up with a really good one.
All right. So according to Davis, it was about 25 yards away when he saw the red eyes glowing. He ran into the car, and as I locked it, the thing grabbed the door handle. I
I'm
could see it
sorry.
from
It
neck
grabbed,
down.
it grabbed the door handle and tried to open it like a civilized person.
I know. He said the three big fingers, long black nails, and green rough skin. It was strong and angry. I looked in the mirror and saw a blur of green running. I could see his toes, and then he jumped on the roof of my car. I thought I heard a grunt, and then I could see his fingers through the front windshield where they curled around the roof, and I sped up and swerved to shake the creature off. So
This is like a
that's after he
full
finished putting the tire on. I'm like, it's a full-blown
like a
story
full-on
here.
case here.
So
Okay.
you're telling me, but it looks like this creature waited until he fixed that tire before he came over.
Okay, so he was patient.
Juliana, you pulled over to fix a tire. Apparently, the lizard man saw you. He patiently sat beside, sat down and waited until you finished putting the tire on. And then he came over to introduce himself.
To introduce himself, yes, like good evening.
Okay, so this sightings attracted tourists' interest in seeing the creature and hunters interested in tracking it. And nearby radio station WCOS offered $1 million reward to anybody who could capture the creature alive. Hey, that is beautiful. Then you okay. However, reports of the creature began to decline at the end of summer, with the last credible sighting of the year being reported in July. On August 5th, Kenneth Orr, an airman, report with the police saying that he had encountered the lizard man on Highway 15 and that he had shot and wounded it. He presented several scales and a small quantity of blood as evidence. Entered this account 2 days later when he was arraigned for unlawfully carrying a pistol and the misdemeanor offense of filing false police report.
All right, okay. Well, I don't know about the lizard man.
This is cute. In order to keep stories about the lizard man in circulation.
Nice.
Okay, South Carolina, you guys are an interesting bunch. That was beautiful.
I think those are interesting encounters.
Was,
right? Those, yeah.
I know.
But that one.
But then that is so funny though.
Oh yeah, one of them reminded me of the Mothman actually. And so the first sighting of the Mothman in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. It was in the 60s. And it was actually, yeah, it was a bunch of friends driving down a road on the side of like part of the woods that not a lot of people go through. Mm-hmm. And they saw this like winged creature flying at them with like red eyes. And it was yeah. And so it like kind of chased after them for a minute. I think they saw the creature at the side of the road, and it was very weird. It looked like I don't know, it was like 6 to 8 feet tall, like 8 to like 15 feet wingspan. Just an enormous creature with like glowing red eyes, and it was and like claws, and it was standing on its hind legs on the side of the road. And then they passed it, and then when they heard a weird like howling, I guess, type of noise, or like a squeak type of noise.
Mhm.
I don't know. I can't imitate it, right? But and then they saw that, and they saw that the creature was like chasing after them, and it was like it completely just started flying after them, and it was just chasing after them. And there's actually the police report from that night is like at the Mothman Museum in Point Pleasant, so they have that like actual like physical, the original one. And the thing about that one that brought people to believe that it was actually a real creature was that
Real?
um, they separated every single one of the people that were in the car. I think there were four of them, two couples, I think.
Mhm.
Either they were couples or they were friends, but four of them, and the police separated them in different rooms, and they asked them to tell the story, and their stories lined up perfectly with each other, and they weren't in the same
Like,
room together. So that's one of the
ooh.
things that make people in Point Pleasant kind of geared towards, okay, well, this is a real thing. Um, they have like a Mothman statue put up there, and they have like a Mothman festival and a museum, and so they're kind of into into the Mothman idea. I don't know. There's a lot of theories that I've read about what it could be. Like some people say that there was toxic waste in the area, that there was some kind of factory that shut down, and so there's like radioactive type of waste, or some kind of chemical that could have contributed to sort of like an animal mutation, and that's what they saw, and they got scared. um, Other people say it was like a government experiment. Other people say it's an
Oh
alien,
Lord.
right? So it's there's a bunch of theories out there, but there's been like increasingly after that there were a few other sightings of like hunters that would go to the woods and then see like hear weird noises that didn't like belong to any animal that they knew, and it would just kind of it went from there, and it keeps.
Oh Lord.
And that's the Mothman. I mean, there's a lot more to unpack, right? But that's kind of like the
True.
you
There's that's the thing I love about this too. It's gonna make me start researching more about these things because I'm finding them a whole lot of interesting. One that we researched when we were just listing, we saw one that we're not familiar with, and that was the Ozark Howler. When we saw the word, well, no, we saw the name and then we saw the location, and we're like, we've lived here for a while and we've never heard of this. So how is that? So the Ozark Howler, also known as the Ozark Howler, Black Howler, or the Hoo-Hoo, or the Nightshade Bear, and they also call it the Devil Cat, is a legendary creature that is purported to live in remote areas of Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas. It is typically described as being a bear size with a thick body, stocky legs, black shaggy hair, glowing red eyes, and prominent horns. Do you realize that most of these creatures have the same description though? Majority of them, like for the last couple we just spoke about, Bigfoot is basically the same description. The Mammoth Man, same thing. And its cry is often described as being a combination of a wolf's owl and the laugh of an hyena. Have you ever heard an hyena laugh?
yes, it's hilarious. But I
I
mean,
need
I would think, yeah, if you're like at night in like an African savannah, right, and you hear a pack of hyenas laughing, I guess you would be a little scared.
I've seen one before. Yes, I think I've seen one because where I live, um, we have a lot of woodlands, so we would get to see some of these, not these creatures, definitely not these creatures, but we'd see some hyenas and foxes. Um, some biologists who believe in the Ozark howler assert that it's a mountain lion breed who has either mutated into a new subspecies or a hybrid of a mountain lion and an unknown howler. Might just be a wild boar. What's a boar? That's weird,
Oh, it's
interesting.
like a
And
type
eat
of
a bear?
no, I don't want to. I think it's like a type of pig type of thing. If I'm.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's a pig.
type of pig. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
pig.
it's like a wild pig. Okay.
Overly generalized. I don't know. It's like yeah, it's a type of wild pig. I think. There's a difference.
They also believe it's either an hyena or a surviving member of the Credant family. The earliest legend of the Ozark Howler is of a meeting between Daniel Bone and the creature in Missouri in the early 1800s. Bone is reputed to have fired his gun at the Ozark Howler in some version of this story, although there's no evidence that the beast was killed or kept as a trophy. Recently, the Ozark Hour was in the Newton County in Arkansas in 2011, or I guess the most recent one is in 2015, and a area resident claimed to have photographed the Ozark Hour at Devil's Den State Park. Maybe I'm not a true Missourian or a true Kansasian because I'm like, we're right next door to Missouri. So at least we'd at least heard of it. But that was one of the one that we were doing research and we're like, who? Say what?
What
Why
was
have we not heard about this
I feel like
before?
there's so many that we haven't heard about that we could probably touch on other episodes and things. But I don't know. You guys let us know if you want us to talk about more of these because I mean, I'm excited to keep researching and talking about them. I've always loved talking about this. I mean, there's so many others that we haven't talked about that I probably forgot over the years since I was a geek about all this stuff. Like if I have free time and a computer, I would just go this is like 10-year-old me, right? And I would just look at all these things and see if there were like documentaries or like History Channel, like shows and things about them, right? Because I
used
like
to
it,
watch.
right?
I used to watch a lot of Discovery Channel. Best believe I was a Discovery Channel geek at one point of my life, where all I did was stay inside and watch Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, History Channel, and Discovery. Those were just, I was just fascinated by all things. You know, there is a child part of me that enjoyed the cartoon, but then there was just part of me that wants to learn more
Yeah.
and identify certain things. So that's how I came to love mermaids.
Oh yeah, that's how I came to know
But
all of these. But yeah, you guys, let us know if you have any other like mythological animals that you know in your area. We'd love to hear those stories too. I mean, we're always looking
I
for
agree.
stories to talk about. And yeah,
Like
yeah.
email us, message us, email us about things that you've seen, you've heard. Share your story with us, and then we can read it, and then I can put my big mouth on if I believe you or not. That's I was like, I'm questioning people, like,
Right.
so you really believe this story? Okay, did you really see it? And that's kind of my personality. It's you know, and I love it because it makes me ask questions for me to decide, am I going to believe this or not?
Yeah.
And for some of these that we spoke about, the lizard man, okay, that is a definitely no for me. That's just gonna be a no.
Yeah,
Bigfoot,
talk about yeah.
I'm like, with Bigfoot,
There's a
I
certain
don't.
realm of possibility, right? Like anything
Yes,
kind of thing that you're just like, maybe I don't know.
yeah,
Some
it's
of them,
one that you're.
I need more solid evidence. In some of them, it's just like, you try again.
Yeah, yes, and you have the one that I just spoke about, which
Yeah,
was the howler.
the howler. Yeah,
That one is gonna be a definitely no for me. Like, I'm like,
I don't know. I feel like maybe it's just like a wild animal.
yeah, I'm like, I think just like, and that's why I will always stick to the mermaid, because the mermaid just has been around for so long that there's so many people that can back up what they're saying. Technically not back up, but there's so many history
Well,
sightings
no, I
behind
mean
it
for mermaids, like yeah, historically, like if you go back to ancient civilizations, you're gonna find some example of a mermaid in some form in a lot of
form.
them, right? Especially like culture, like ancient cultures that are near the water. they have
Yeah.
some sort of myth like that, not necessarily like mermaid, but something like some
That
type of thing that relates in some way. So I feel like, yeah, okay, maybe, but maybe it's
that
just a
one.
type of animal.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one is more like that's
Like
where I can say, okay,
Hercules with the manatees, right? So
true,
maybe it's just something
true.
like that. And it's a
And it's the same
that
like with
out. I don't know.
and that's the same like with dragons and vampires. Like especially with vampires, I'm a lot picky. I'm like, there's some truth, like there's something to me that exists, maybe. There's something that exists within those realms, but it's maybe not what
Yeah, it's
how
not
we're
that,
describing it.
something else.
Yeah, it's not technically that, but it's something
Something
else. Like,
similar, right? Yeah. But as always, if you guys want to reach out, please do so. We are JCCC Student Life on Instagram and Facebook, and Cavalier Corner on all podcast platforms. And always check out our Get Involved at JCCC page for all fun updates and events. And this has been amazing and super fun. And thank you, you guys.
bye.
Bye.